Okay, well, we're day 286. Can't really do that with one hand. I just do it instinctually. And anyways, so I lost the slipping ball earlier. And you're like, oh, you found it. No, no, no. I somehow got lucky that they're the same size and it's plain. I didn't think I had any more of those. I thought I lost them all because these are my favorite look. I would have all my piercings be silver like this, and well, I don't mind the size of these. I was gonna say these sizes too. I just like plain piercings. I know some people go real colorful with it, but anyways, I lost it. I went out, got coffee, drive through, but still car. On the way home, and then cut some plants and brought them in. So I'm like, it could be in my mask, in my car. It could be in the it would just be in my mask if something didn't take it off anywhere else. And then here, like outside, when I did the cutting the plants, inside when I was handling the plants, all that. So I'm just like, could be anywhere. And I didn't hear it. Usually when a metal ball hits tile or vinyl or whatever your flooring is, if it's hard, you hear it. So yeah, that kind of limits it, but could have been the grass where I cut the plants, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, what plants? Oh, well, thank you for asking. So there's this bush tree that grows. We didn't plant it. It just is growing, and it's very strong. I kind of want to look up if it is an invasive species, because apparently we tried transplanting it, and the transplant died, but it itself survived somehow, the transplant, like where it was. And again, we didn't plant it. And I'm like, okay. So it kind of worries me that it's an invasive species, somehow, or what. But what I can assume, because it was the reason why we have to move it, because it's in our drain area by the street, and it's blocking the street, looking down the street, but then B, it is in the drain pipe, or the drain area. So what I can assume happened is someone up the street has it, and one of the things fell, because they make little berry kind of looking seeds, and I bet you one of those just went down the stream and got plenty of water flow and everything. The problem is, we need to get rid of it. So I said we need to transplant it again, and so I don't know when the best time to do it is, but I have this really lovely app that you can just take a photo of a plant, and it'll tell you what plant it is. It's one plant, I'm not quite sure if it was correct, but every other plant it nailed. So anyways, sorry, I got distracted by the video that I watched literally 280, was it 86? 185 times before. So, what happened is that I'm like, well, screw it. It's really tough. We need to move it, and you're going to use clean, not scissors, pruning shears, I guess. So they're going to use clean pruning shears. I'm just going to go out and cut them. So I cut some, and I put them in a vase that I got. They're really beautiful, but they are kind of like cherry blossoms or blossoms, where you shake it, all these beautiful petals just fall, and so we'll leave the tree bare. So trying to cut them and take the leaves off so I can put them in my vase, up to a certain height, take the leaves off. Oh my god, it was just poof, just all the just beautiful cascading of these beautiful bright pink leaves. But oh my goodness, it was so much. Anyway, so what happened is I did that. So now I'm dying, and I don't know, with allergies, I don't know if it's the plant I brought in that I'm definitely allergic to, or the allergy shots that I'm definitely allergic to, being in the car that I'm definitely allergic to. But yeah, luckily it's been 2 weeks, so it definitely isn't COVID since the last time I was like out and about in the high risk scenarios. But then I also was lucky it's been 2 weeks because my sibling got a call this morning like, hey, you want the job, right? And she's like, yes. I was like, cool, I know you weren't going to start this soon, but can you start tomorrow? They're like, she's like, yeah. And apparently it's very, very, very wanting to do that. So we had to quickly do a lot of stuff. So my sibling, again, we thought we had a lot more time, but apparently we wanted to open a better bank account for my sister, because getting a better banks, blah, 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 blah. They can use your money for whatever, so you should align with a bank that you kind of agree with, blah, blah. So we got this particular bank that luckily we live near that we were looking at, but we had to obviously transfer funds in there, and because we weren't near it, so we were trying to do it online because we were like, we have a day to do this all. So we needed a bank account up, and she needed to she got everything else like ready for the job. But the thing is, it's also a school, so it's like, or it is a school that she's working at, so it's going to be a lot of my brain feels like Ethan trying to say that sentence, the pea poison sentence, stumbling on it like 4 times. Anyways, I still make jokes about Ethan saying skittle and skriddle and instead of a skillet. Bull talk though. It would make fun of him because I'm in the same boat sometimes. I feel it. Anyways, so what happened is so since she's going to school, I'm glad we had the full 2 weeks before they ask if she could start right away. But yeah, so she's like, yeah, sure. So now we're like, she needs to get up and go at 8 in the morning. Like, she has to be there 8 in the morning. Oh yeah. I got a text from a sibling I needed to answer right away. I don't remember what I was saying though, so I'll be changing the subject. What was I gonna say? I was waiting for my siblings because we were all out and with allergy shots. I hate driving myself because I'm always terrified I'm gonna have a severe allergic reaction, even though I wait the 15 to 30 minutes afterwards to make sure I don't have a reaction. But usually for me, big significant reactions happen like 45 minutes after, and I don't know how to be like fun. So that would be right when I'm driving home. So I'm like, no. So what happened was, I was waiting and I was outside because I wanted to wait outside, not inside, especially because, you know, it's kind of a doctor's office, hospital area. I'm good. So what happened is I waited outside and I was taking a picture of one plant, and I wanted to take a picture of another plant, and then I'm like walking around and my siblings are taking forever to text me back, so I'm just like, they're dead. And I'm like, no, they're not dead, they're just taking a while. So I go and I took pictures of another plant, and as I'm bent down taking pictures, I see a movement. I look, a little bee, tiny little bee, and then there's such a like tiny little flowers, like so small, that it would go flower to flower to flower. So I tried to take a few pictures of it because I was taking pictures, but I didn't want to just take pictures of it. I didn't want to bother it because it can see me, and I don't want to get all its business when all I was trying to do is collect some pollen. You know what I'm saying? But also, I wanted to watch it. I want to watch it. So I'm watching it go from little flower to little flower to little flower, and I'm just watching it, and then boom, there was 2 of them. So I'm watching both of them just hop, go to flower to flower to flower to flower, and I love it, right? And it was like 15-20 minutes later, my siblings like, it just took a while, we're coming. I'm like, oh, okay, fun. Thank you for taking me so long. But yeah, just flower to flower to flower. And I took the bush, like blossoming tree, and I got the branches and put them in a vase. When I did that, there was 2-3 bugs from them, and then I tried to shake it, but again, it just, all these petals came off. So I'm like, oh, can't do that too much. But usually, the flying bugs, especially, abort mission. They ditch out of there, man. They leave. But spiders do the same thing. You know, like when they try to scurry off, or they fall, like, with a little string, and just, like, fall. And, what is it? Not Little Bo Peep, that was with a sheep. Miss Muffet? She was sitting... I don't know. What I was trying to figure out a word. My brain just got distracted. A little string, and then just go vroom, and just drop. They leave. They leave. Usually they leave. But no. Didn't leave. So I'm like, oh, okay. And so they left. Okay, yeah, so usually bugs, they have a retreat thing. They leave. But what happened is that these 2 bugs didn't leave. They were just there until like they started to, like, I moved, and then one hit the wall. So I put a little bowl on it, I took it outside, and then the other one, I put a little bowl on it and took it outside. The last one I just swished away because it was really tiny, and he was like new. But anyways, and then just earlier, the dog was getting let out, and we're letting in the other one. Apparently you just heard a little plop, and I'm like, what's that, right? My sibling's like, it's a grasshopper, and I'm like, I love grasshopper. So I go, so I saw a grasshopper, 2 bees, bug, the spider on my ceiling is still there. What else was there? Yeah. So, but yeah, the thing is, with so many bugs and all that, and allergies, I don't know if I'm itchy from allergies, itchy because my brain's like, bugs, or, I don't even know what I was gonna say. Brain is empty. Yeah, I got up and I sat up this morning, and my eyes just got super duper watery, and I'm like, bling, 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 bling. It was so bad. So maybe today is just bad allergies, man. My throat hurts, but I'm just like, when I was also cutting the plants to be sure that I didn't get allergies, I wore my mask, I wore out, but oh boy, that didn't help much, huh? So I saved and pressed with the fallen blossoms, some of the actual blossoms, some of the actual flower, like just the petals, individual petals, the actual flower thing, and then leaves. I don't know which ones will survive, but I cut open a gallon bag and smushed them, and I have a whole pile of these leaves because they're just beautiful, and I would be ashamed to get rid of them. They're just so beautiful. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I kind of did it before, kind of crudely paint a bouquet of flowers that I picked from the garden. Crudely paint it, but I am not good at that, and I don't have anything to paint with. I had youngster paint, but it's kind of what? Because it's kind of early, so I'm like, ooh, I can do so much before I have to go to bed. But that's how late I've been going to bed. But I feel like maybe I should try to go to bed earlier and earlier, because if my sibling is, we only have one car, if my sibling needs to be driven and picked up every day at, be there at 8, ends at 3. Ends at 3. It's a very long day, and I'm not awake at 8 in the morning. That's for sure. So, luckily my other sibling should help with that, but last time, why is my floor so squeaky? Last time when she would go to school and stuff, my other sibling, my oldest sibling, did not like that. I'm just like, well, maybe we should buy another car, huh? But we can't. The world would be a lot easier if we had multiple cars. We used to, but blah, 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 blah. Things happen. So, anyways, what else is there? I don't know, man. I am tired beyond all belief. I hope my pressed flowers and leaves turn out well. Yeah, so I cut up in a giant bag and I laid them individually there. But some of them were wet, so those ones I didn't try to press. But I think one of them was kind of still wet. I did try to dry it off, but I'm scared it will like mold or something. But I don't know. I usually, it's like with parchment paper, but surprisingly we don't have any parchment or wax paper in this house. Also, parchment paper you can put in the oven. Wax paper don't put in the oven, I'm pretty sure. Fun fact, one will catch on fire, so don't do that. But I didn't want like saran wrap because that seemed really weird, so I went with a gallon bag that I cut down both sides and then have a zipper side. I zipped it again, and then I had the one not cut, so I just shimmied things in there. But I hope they press really beautifully because that would be amazing. Really beautiful. Yeah, my sibling's like, my friend doesn't want me to spend money on gifts for her because she never buys me gifts because she forgets. Blah blah. So she said she's wanted to give flowers. She goes, yeah, but like they wouldn't dry right. I'm like, have you tried pressing them? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you get a thing, you put it in a book, close the book, pressed flowers, and yeah, she was very funny that she's like, oh, I never thought of that. I always thought of just drying them, like hanging them upside down. I was the king of pressed flowers back in the day, okay? Flowers, but mainly leaves. Mainly pressed leaves. I have a whole bookshelf over, like I'm looking directly at the bookshelf, and there are a bunch of, I see 2, maybe 3 Bibles, and a bunch of nature books. And all of those books, I remember a lot of those. I would take it out, put like a flower or put a leaf in there, close it, and throw it in there. And I was really good at knowing which ones would be really well pressed, but I can't remember how I knew, like what I knew. I think fresh ones are better. I bit my lip. Now I'm bleeding. Like, so fresh, like bright green ones, I think were the best you put in there, and they just dried out instead of a brown one, which was already decomposing. It decomposed instead of drying. I think that's true, so I'm hoping, because mine were fresh off the branch, I hope mine last. So, but I don't know. And I never used parchment paper. I literally just slammed those in books. So it's usually books my mom didn't mind if I ruined, so definitely not one of those Bibles, because one of those Bibles she really, really loved. It was beautiful. She loved it, especially, oh yeah, there's one over here too. It had gold edges of the pages, and they're really thin, beautiful pages. And she's like, if you ruin those, I'm like, okay, got it. King James is off the table, got it. So I would put it on one of the other ones. But then you'd have to make sure you smush it, you know? You gotta smush it. So there could also be a thing. You need to have that weight on it. But to my knowledge, I probably did actually. But I was gonna be like, I don't think I ruined too many pages. But yeah, man, I love pressing. Like, I used to love that. I would be like, look, Mom, a leaf. And she'd be like, put it in the book. I'm not put it in the book. My other siblings like, what the hell are you doing? I guess my oldest sibling just never knew I did it, because she was like, well, how do you press something? I'm like, easily. I did it all the time. I also loved laminating stuff. I would get, even though we didn't have a laminator, I would take a big piece of tape and laminate it with just lining tape up. It was real tedious, but I loved it.